The card disappeared from Marcus's hand at the exact moment the billionaire's phone buzzed with a notification. The message read, "Check your left jacket pocket." Inside that pocket was the missing card, along with something the billionaire hadn't seen in 20 years. A photo of himself as a 14-year-old boy, performing the exact same trick at a street corner. The billionaire's hands trembled as he looked up at Marcus and whispered, "How did you? Who told you about this?" Marcus smiled and said, "Nobody told me, sir. Magic has a way of connecting the past to the present. What happened next would change both their lives forever." If you love stories about unexpected encounters and life-changing moments, hit that subscribe button and stick around, because this story gets wild. Marcus Chen lived in the Riverside district, where the buildings were painted in faded colors and dreams came with expiration dates. At 14, he'd already mastered 37 card tricks, 12 coin illusions, and one disappearing act that he performed every day, making his problems vanish for the few hours he spent practicing magic in his cramped bedroom. His mother worked double shifts at the hospital. His father had left when Marcus was 7, disappearing more permanently than any magic trick could accomplish. But Marcus never complained. He had his cards, his imagination, and a YouTube channel with exactly 43 subscribers, most of whom were probably bots. Everything changed on a Tuesday afternoon in October. Marcus was practicing his card forces at Riverside Park, a forgotten patch of green where the fountain hadn't worked in 6 years. He'd set up his portable table. Nothing fancy, just a folding TV tray covered with a black cloth. A small crowd had gathered. 2 elderly women, a jogger taking a break, and a man in a suit who looked completely out of place. The man in the suit was Victor Ashford, though Marcus didn't know that yet. He didn't know that Victor was worth $3.7 billion, that he owned the largest tech company in the region, or that he was in Riverside Park because his therapist had suggested he reconnect with ordinary life after his 3rd divorce. Marcus performed his favorite routine. He had a volunteer select a card, the 7 of diamonds, and made it vanish from the deck entirely. The elderly women clapped politely. The jogger filmed it on her phone. But Victor Ashford didn't react at all. He just stared, his expression unreadable, his expensive watch catching the afternoon sunlight. "That's impossible," Victor finally said, his voice quiet but commanding. Marcus grinned. "That's kind of the point, sir. Do it again, different card." Marcus repeated the trick. This time, the volunteer picked the Queen of Hearts. Same result. The card vanished completely from the deck. Victor checked every card himself, his movements precise and methodical, like he was auditing a financial statement. "Where's the card?" Victor demanded. Marcus tilted his head. "Where do you think it is?" "I don't play games, kid." "Neither do I, sir. Magic isn't a game. It's about seeing what others miss." That's when Victor's phone buzzed. The message, the instruction to check his left jacket pocket, and inside, impossibly, the Queen of Hearts along with that photograph, the one that shouldn't exist, the one that showed Victor as a teenage boy performing magic on a street corner in Brooklyn, before the money, before the empire, before he'd buried that version of himself so deep he'd almost forgotten it existed. Victor's face went pale. "How did you get this photo?" Marcus looked genuinely confused. "What photo, sir?" "I just put the card in your pocket." "This photo? This is impossible. I was the only one there. The photographer was a stranger who took one Polaroid and gave it to me. I lost it 20 years ago in a house fire." Marcus leaned forward to look at the photo Victor was holding with shaking hands. His eyes widened. "Sir, I didn't put that there. I swear, I only put the card." The crowd had dispersed. The park was suddenly quiet except for the distant sound of traffic and a bird singing somewhere in the broken fountain. Victor sat down heavily on the park bench. "What's your name?" "Marcus Chen." "Marcus, I'm going to ask you something strange, and I need you to answer honestly. Have you been following me?" "No, sir. I've never seen you before today." "Do you know who I am?" "Should I?" Victor let out a long breath, studying the boy's face for any sign of deception. He found none. Just a kid with hopeful eyes and worn-out sneakers, holding a deck of cards like they were made of gold. "I'm Victor Ashford. I run Ashford Technologies. And you just performed a magic trick that's either the most elaborate con I've ever seen or something I can't explain." Marcus's eyes went wide. "Wait, the Victor Ashford? The guy who invented the NeuroSync interface? That's me. Holy shit. Sorry. I mean, wow. I've read about you. You're like a genius." "I used to think so," Victor said quietly, still staring at the photo, "before I forgot who I used to be." Victor made a decision that surprised even himself. "Marcus, how would you like to have dinner? My treat. I want to understand how you did this." Marcus hesitated. His mother had taught him about stranger danger, but this was Victor Ashford. "You didn't get murdered by billionaires in broad daylight, probably." "Can my mom come?" Victor smiled for the first time that afternoon. "Smart kid. Yes, absolutely. Give her a call." 2 hours later, Marcus and his mother Linda sat across from Victor Ashford at Marcello's, a restaurant so fancy that Marcus was afraid to touch anything. The menu didn't have prices, which Marcus had learned from movies meant everything was expensive. Linda Chen was cautious but curious. Victor had sent his driver to pick them up and had been nothing but respectful. Still, she kept her phone in her hand, ready to call for help if this turned weird. Over pasta that Marcus was pretty sure cost more than his entire magic setup, Victor told his story. "I grew up in Brooklyn. Poor neighborhood. Single mother. No prospects. I learned magic from a street performer named Ray who took pity on me. Magic was my escape, my way of creating wonder in a world that offered none. I was good at it. Really good. I performed on street corners, saved every dollar, dreamed of becoming the next David Blaine." He paused, twirling his wine glass. "Then my mother got sick. Cancer. No insurance. I was 17. I sold my magic equipment. Every prop, every book, every trick I'd spent years collecting. It wasn't enough. So I taught myself computer programming instead. Turns out, I had a knack for it. Within 5 years, I'd started my first company. Within 10, I was a millionaire. Within 15, a billionaire." Marcus listened, his pasta forgotten. "But somewhere along the way, I forgot the magic. I forgot what it felt like to create wonder for wonder's sake. To see people's faces light up with pure joy. I became obsessed with optimization, efficiency, profit margins. I lost 3 marriages because I forgot how to be human. And I haven't performed a single magic trick in 20 years. Linda spoke up. "Mr. Ashford, this is a lovely story. But why are you telling us this?" Victor pulled out the photograph. "Because your son just gave me back something I thought I'd lost forever." This photo was destroyed in a fire. There were no copies, no negatives, no digital backup. It existed in one place and that place burned down. Yet here it is, in perfect condition, appearing in my pocket during a magic trick." He looked at Marcus. "I don't believe in the supernatural. I've built my career on logic and evidence. But I also can't explain this. And I can't shake the feeling that I was supposed to meet you today." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Ashford, I promise I didn't put that photo there. I don't know how it got there." "I believe you," Victor said, "which makes this even more interesting." Linda interjected. "Where are you going with this?" Victor leaned forward. "Marcus, how serious are you about magic?" "It's everything to me, sir. When I'm performing, I'm not just some kid from Riverside. I'm someone who can make the impossible happen. Would you like to make the impossible happen on a bigger stage?" Marcus's heart raced. "What do you mean?" "I want to sponsor you. Full scholarship to the Academy of Magical Arts, private lessons with the best magicians in the world, professional equipment, marketing, everything you need to become not just good, but legendary. In exchange, I want you to help me remember who I used to be." Linda nearly choked on her water. "I'm sorry, what?" "Mrs. Chen, your son has a rare gift, not just for magic, but for connecting with people, for creating genuine wonder. That's increasingly rare in our world. I've spent 20 years building technology that connects people digitally, while isolating them emotionally. I want to fund something that does the opposite." "This is insane," Linda said, but her voice wavered with possibility. "It's magic," Marcus whispered. Victor pulled out a business card. "Think about it. Take your time." "But Marcus, I haven't felt this alive in 2 decades. Whatever happened today, whatever inexplicable thing occurred in that park, it woke something up in me. I don't want to go back to sleep. But if you think that's where this story ends, you're wrong. Because 3 days later, something happened that made the card trick look like a warm-up act." "Don't go anywhere." Marcus couldn't stop thinking about Victor's offer. He researched the Academy of Magical Arts, watched videos of their performances, imagined himself on those stages. But something bothered him about the photograph. How had it really appeared in Victor's pocket? On Friday night, Marcus had a dream. He was performing the same card trick, but this time, he could see the threads of possibility connecting everything. The deck, the volunteer, the pocket, the past. And standing behind Victor in the dream was an old man with kind eyes, performing the same gestures Marcus was performing, guiding his hands across time. Marcus woke up with a name in his head. Ray. The next morning, he called Victor. "Who was Ray?" "The street performer who taught you magic." Victor's voice went quiet. "How do you know about Ray?" "I had a dream." "I know this sounds crazy, but I think I need to find him." "Marcus, Ray died 15 years ago. Heart attack. I paid for his funeral." "Did he have any family? Anyone who might have his old stuff?" Victor hesitated. "He had a nephew, Daniel Ray. Lives in Riverside actually. Runs a pawn shop on 5th Street. "Why?" Marcus felt the pull of something larger than himself. "I think Ray might have left something for you. I think that photo wasn't an accident." 2 hours later, Marcus and Victor stood in Ray's Pawn and Collectibles, a dusty shop crammed with forgotten treasures. Daniel Ray was a man in his 50s with his uncle's kind eyes. "Victor Ashford," Daniel said with recognition. "Uncle Ray talked about you. Said you were the most talented kid he ever taught. Said you could have been one of the greats." "He was too generous," Victor said quietly. "He also said you'd come back someday. Said magic has a way of calling people home." Daniel disappeared into the back room and returned with a small wooden box. "He made me promise to keep this for you. Said you'd know when you needed it." Inside the box was a deck of cards, a few photographs including the one that had appeared in Victor's pocket, and a letter in Ray's handwriting. Victor's hands trembled as he read. "Victor, if you're reading this, then the magic worked. I always believed that tricks aren't just about deceiving the eye but about revealing truth. You left magic to save your mother. That's the most beautiful trick of all, transforming love into action. But magic doesn't leave us. It waits. I've arranged for these items to find you when you're ready to remember. The boy who brings you this message, pay attention to him. Magic recognizes magic. Teach him what I taught you. Remember what wonder feels like. Life is the grandest illusion we perform. Make it meaningful. Your friend always, Ray." Marcus watched Victor cry for the first time probably in decades. Daniel quietly left them alone in the shop. "He set this up," Victor whispered. "Somehow Ray knew. He knew I'd lose my way. He knew I'd need to be reminded." "But how did the photo get in your pocket during my trick?" Marcus asked. Victor laughed through his tears. "Marcus, I think that's the only part that was actually magic. Real magic. The kind we can't explain." Daniel returned with a knowing smile. Uncle Ray believed that when a magician truly needs to remember who they are, the universe performs the greatest trick of all. It creates coincidence so perfect it looks like fate. Victor stood, composing himself. He looked at Marcus with renewed purpose. "The offer still stands. But now I understand what Ray wanted. I'm not just supposed to sponsor you. I'm supposed to teach you. Really teach you everything Ray taught me. Everything I learned and forgot. Are you ready for that?" Marcus nodded, unable to speak. "Then let's begin. Act 418. 020. 6 months later, Marcus Chen performed at the Riverside Community Center for 300 people. But this wasn't the Marcus who practiced in the park. This was someone transformed. Victor had kept his promise: private lessons, professional equipment, and something more valuable: mentorship from someone who understood that magic was about more than tricks. It was about connection, wonder, and remembering what makes us human. But the real magic happened off stage. Victor had started a foundation, the Ray Foundation for Young Magicians. He funded scholarships, equipment grants, and community programs. He performed magic again himself, small shows at children's hospitals and senior centers, remembering what it felt like to create joy without expecting profit. His fourth marriage was to an elementary school teacher he met at one of Marcus's shows. This one would last. As Marcus took his bow that night at the community center, he caught Victor's eye in the audience. Victor was holding the photograph from the park, the impossible photograph, framed now and treasured. Later, as they packed up equipment, Victor asked the question he'd wondered about for months. "Marcus, do you really not know how that photo got in my pocket?" Marcus smiled the way magicians smile when they're keeping a secret. "Mr. Ashford, a magician never reveals his secrets. Not even to his mentor? Especially not to his mentor. You taught me that some magic is meant to stay mysterious." Ray understood that the trick isn't in the knowing. It's in the wonder. Victor laughed and put his arm around Marcus's shoulder. "You're going to be something special, kid. You already are." As they walked out into the October evening, the same October light that had illuminated their first meeting, Marcus thought about the dream he'd had the night before. In it, an old man with kind eyes had winked at him and whispered, "Keep the wonder alive, kid. That's the only trick that matters." The card, the photograph, the impossible coincidence, maybe it was all elaborate stagecraft, maybe it was something more. In the end, the greatest magic was this: two people from different worlds, connected by a moment of wonder, both transformed by remembering what they'd forgotten. Magic has a way of doing that. It reminds us that the impossible is just a possible we haven't understood yet, and sometimes the greatest trick isn't making something disappear. It's making something that was lost reappear exactly when it's needed most. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button, because the real magic happens when we share these moments together. Drop a comment telling me about a time when something impossible happened to you, when coincidence felt like fate, when life performed its greatest trick just for you. Until next time, keep believing in magic. It's everywhere, if you know where to look.